one small comment about your presentation. And as a young professional from the Georgia, thank you for this opportunity. And I hope most of us will take this chance because it has a lot of benefits. And like a unique project, and it's starting now, so I encourage to everyone, and I will spread and share this information also in my acquaintance too. Thank you once again, and
Thank
in
you.
case some of them have any questions with Leonora, at the end of our sessions there is a question and answer part, so you can wait and then ask or write or raise a hand. Okay, thank you. So now, if Ellen is with us, I will check once again.
I don't think I
No?
was not able to locate her, unfortunately.
Okay,
No.
it's okay. So we will still have a time to wait for her. So now it's time to present about building solid capacity in the cheese sector in Georgia. And we have a two representative here, Patrick Anglad. If I'm incorrectly pronouncing, I apologize for it.
Patrick, you are on mute. You are on mute, Patrick.
Yes, Patrick is on mute. And the second presenter is written here, Tornik Emetswarishvili.
Yeah, that will be me.
So the floor is yours, please.
Patrick, if you can unmute yourself and you can start, and then I will continue after. You see, if you move your mouse on the screen, on your left side, you will see a microphone with a red line crossed over it. If you just press that, it will say unmute. There you go.
It's okay?
Patrick, you said perfectly fine now.
Good morning, because actually in France it's morning. It's not afternoon. I'm Patrick, I'm a cheese technician in France, and I worked for the FinExCoop and FASEP project in Georgia for 3 years, since 2019. During this project, next slide, please. We visited dairies in all Georgia in 8 missions for 1 or 2 weeks. Finally, we visited around 15 dairies, artisanal or farm-stead dairies, mainly with cow, and we visited also two dairies with goat in the north of Georgia. According to the kind of dairy, we visited 1 or 2 or 3 times each dairy. It depended the activity of the dairy. In fact, the topic of the visit was cheese, of course, and different kind of cheese, semi-hard cheese, cream cheese, soft cheeses, and stretched cheeses technologies. And we used pasteurized milk, and 2 times we used cow raw milk. I made a demonstration of these processes with the farmers, and to explain, next slide, please. We explain step by step all the operations, because in fact in Georgia it was not a traditional cheeses. Traditional cheeses in Georgia are Imeruli and Sulguni. Imeruli is a white cheese with a semi-hard technology, but not aged, and the Sulguni is a stretched cheese as mozzarella. But in Georgia they have not the culture of aging cheese. Of course, after the training, some farmers had some questions about their activity, and I advised to give some informations, to give some advices about what they make in their dairy. It was about the quality of milk, of course, the processes, the equipment, the quality of aging rooms, and of course we tasted the cheeses, and we spoke about the texture, the taste, the presentation, the aspect of the cheese according to the technology. Next, please. One very important element was to cool the milk, but we use 2 or 3 times bad cooling milk, and the acidity, the pH was too much acidic, and we can't make cheese. And it was a very important aspect to speak about the quality of cooling milk. Another element, it was a difference between cultures and enzyme. And some farmers don't know the differences between the culture, bacteria, and the enzyme, the rennet. And also how to use cultures they had. Another aspect is aging with cares in cave, flipping, brushing with salty water, etc., etc. Why to do that? What is the advantage for the taste of the cheeses? And one big problem was the quality of aging rooms, and mainly insulation, because you are in a hot country, and hot temperature as enemy of the cheese in the cave. And we spoke also about aging floras. In conclusion, we have some pictures in this slide about semi-hard cheese we made during this program. It was in Tel Aviv, sorry. And it was successful because the cheesemaker made, after my visit, himself the cheeses, and the cheeses were correct. And also with goat milk. I think it's necessary to maintain this support to accompany the cheesemaker during more years to improve the technology, and because there is a big potential of this kind of European cheeses in Georgia, I think. Thank you for your attention.
I can go now then. Right?
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to speak in Georgian before, but most of our participants are foreigners, so I think it makes more sense for me to speak in English. First of all, hello everybody. My name is Tony Kemetschwarishvili. I coordinate the FinExCoop project here locally in Tbilisi office, and I also have been working with Patrick and Vlad in cheese technology for past 3 years. And my knowledge before Patrick with cheese was absolutely zero. Only knew how to consume it once in a while. But when you work with somebody like a Patrick, who is really an exceptional expert, you start to fall in love with the technology, fall in love with the cheese and the way of making it. And as you know, this week it's not just for cheese or fodder, it's a livestock value chain development, and cheese and meat obviously is a big part of this value chain, as this is the end product, and this is something that goes to a market. This is something that the farmer will actually see to make money. So me and Patrick sat together for a long time, thought what we could have done to introduce to the market, what would be the new technology, something that Georgian farmers could do and was not so difficult. Obviously, Parmesan, for example, the Italian cheese is almost impossible to in Georgia. So we decided to come up with French cheese dome, which is a semi-hard aged cheese, as Patrick said. And we started to doing trainings all across Georgia. We partnered with different organizations, cooperative development agencies. In Akhatsikhe and Komisi, we had 10, 15 cooperatives where we did training, provided and gifted people with different cultures so they could themselves make cheese at home after the trainings. But obviously, COVID happened, and with limited time and resources, when restrictions of the travel, it was very difficult to be in dairies as much as we would want to in different circumstances. But still, during this time, Patrick managed to come in Georgia when it was possible, and I can proudly say that our trainings were a big success. Right now, you can see our cheese in Carrefour, in Cafeti, in five-star hotel resorts such as Lopota, Redison, and other hotels. From the spring 2023, you will see our cheese also in Goodwill And what is very important is that, as Patrick mentioned, right now, Georgia does not have aged cheese culture. We have fresh cheeses in Merulin, Suguni, as everybody knows. But before Soviet Union, Georgian cheese culture, like wine culture, was aged cheese. And this was something that we lost during Soviet Union, just like quality of wine we have lost. And just like we are getting back our quality in wine, we want to get back our quality in cheese. And I'm very proud that Patrick and I got to be part of this journey. We worked with Anna Mikaze, who comes to be queen of cheese on different issues. Obviously, not all the farmers can transfer from making traditional cheeses to European cheeses. This is not very easy. It's not an overnight process. It needs some investments. It needs much more work, much more care. I mean, Imeruli cheese is very easy to make. You make it in 2 hours. Cheese Patrick makes, it needs weeks, it needs months, and you need to take care of the cheese for the month. So obviously, there are farmers who like the idea, but they were not financially able to make an investment, or they were not, they just didn't want to add that much work to their already busy schedules. But financially speaking, when we calculated, the French cheese and Sougoni cheese need virtually same amount of milk to make them. And financially speaking, margin of French cheese is triple or 4 times even bigger than what it is on Sougoni. Another great thing about this is that making semi-hard cheeses promotes better quality milk, because Georgian cheese you can make with different kind of quality milks. Most everybody here probably knows that we have a big bazaar in Tbilisi, and it's not a secret that you don't get to see the highest quality cheeses or even meat in a bazaar. And obviously, these cheeses are not made from the highest quality of milk. So once we try to push the agenda to promote semi-hard cheeses, we are also pushing agenda of promoting better quality milk. And with better quality milk, obviously, we get better cheese, and it's much less dangerous. I mean, it's not dangerous for our health at all, which is also one of the big concerns in the dairy sector now, where without pasteurization, we are using the milk that God knows where it's coming from, and obviously creates a lot of problem for the big amount of consumers. But at the end of the day, we are very happy. Obviously, our project had limited resources, limited time. We could not do magic, unfortunately, but we tried our best. And as I said, we have met many great farmers, and our idea always was to introduce this cheese to the markets. We have accomplished that. We also have a farmer working in Zemo, Upper Ajara region, who is also producing this cheese, and soon he will be, excuse me, soon he will be transferring this cheese to Batumi markets, which is one of the big markets after Tbilisi in Georgia, especially this year when we have a lot of foreigners coming into the country and enjoying their summer in Batumi. So I think overall our cheese project was a great success. I will also add to this with the help of French Institute, or Miss Leonora, just speaking recently, we have sent students and young professionals to France to learn the new technologies, to develop not only semi-hard cheeses, but also in yogurt, cream cheeses, and so on, which is very useful for Georgia, because these are the future. They are 19, 20, 25 years old now. These are the future of cheesemakers of Georgia, and they are the ones, from our point of view, who will be changing the future of not only dairy sector, but in general, the agricultural sector. So yes, we believe that improving cheese quality, developing new products, will obviously make value chain much better. It will increase financial situation for the farmer, and overall, it will help all the aspects of the livestock value chain. That is all from me. I hope my word was not too long. And then
Not too long,
thank
but
you.
not too short.
Not too short either. This is my specialty. When you work with Christoph for too long, this happens to be become a habit. So, all right. Thank you very much, and
Okay.
see you soon.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Tornike. I should say that I had the pleasure to be a participant of Patrick's training in Adigeni municipality, and it was a very good experience for me. And with your permission, if I have a extra 2 seconds or 5 seconds, I should add some more information. How in my case, skill project is helping dairy sector in Georgia, and I should announce two more activity. First is in November we are going to start. She's making master classes. It will be 4 inches, 5 type of 4 inches master classes in Georgia across the country. And the second one is that we created with the help of Anna Mikadze. I'm sure most of you know her. Now, with help of Anna and Gacha Bergoniashvili, we created a Georgian traditional dairy products catalog. And this catalog consists of more than 20 types of cheeses in Georgia, which is traditionally produced. And I hope that in December we can invite you to the presentation event of this book. So these two more activities for Georgia's dairy sector from Skill Project. Okay, thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
And now, as I know, according to our agenda, we have 10 minutes break.
Actually,
Oh,
it's
Helen,
also
I see
important that
Helen.
Helen joined us.
Yes,
So
yes. Okay, okay.
hello, Helen.
So, hello, Helen. We are waiting for you and for your presentation, which is about 2 years of training with the GTU in field of dairy and agro-processing field. So we are ready to hear your presentation.
Okay, thank you. And sorry for the, I didn't understand really the schedule. So hello everyone, my name is Hélène Marfin, teacher in food technology and dairy industry. So I'm in charge in France for the bachelor's double degree program, production management in milk industry. This double degree program is possible thanks to the international cooperation agreement between University of Rennes 1 in France and the Georgian Technical University, GTU, in Georgia. So in this program, and after the successful completion of the studies, students will obtain 2 degrees, 1 bachelor's degree from the GTU and 1 bachelor degree from the University of Rennes 1. For the moment, there have been 2 graduating classes, so 21 students in total, and we are starting the 3rd year. So this training has the goal to reinforce knowledge and control on dairy products for the future graduate students, to provide the transverse and essential competencies for future proximity managers, and to allow their easy insertion in enterprise. So for us, it is important to provide skilled workers for the Georgian dairy industry, and they will be able to face new challenges in the future, like environmental, hygiene, quality, and so on.
I'm sorry, Ellen, for introduction, but we see the first slide of your presentation, and just to tell you, if you want to go to the next slide, so you should tell us, okay?
No, I'm sorry, because I already told the organizers that I don't have any presentation.
Oh, okay.
I was there only for 10 minutes because I have
okay,
other...
perfect. So sorry
Yeah,
for
so
okay.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say a few words about the program and the organization of the cooperation between France and Georgia, but I'm sorry, I don't have
Great,
any
no
slides.
no problem. Sorry for my side. Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to say that this program is a professional one. It means that to complete the studies, the students have to spend 16 weeks in a professional environmental, writing their final bachelor thesis. So we say also internship reports. So there are some possibilities of doing a professional internship in with partner companies in Georgia, but also in France. And last year, 4 students from GTU did their internships in France, thanks to FinExCoop and also to Erasmus grant. It was possible. So I must say that it was really a successful year, and I hope that all the students spent successful internships in France, but also in Georgia. And I hope this example of good cooperation between France and Georgia could continue and will be profitable for both countries. So that's all I wanted to say. So if you have any question, I'm at your disposal.
Okay, thank you, Evan, once again, and sorry for interruption. So it was really good information about the project with the Georgian Technical University, and I'm sure that most students will use this chance too. In case of question, the participants already know that they should write in the chat or wait till the end of this session. Now, with the permission of Lola, I can announce 5 minutes break because we are a little bit delay according to our agenda. So after 5 minutes, we are here and we are ready to hear Oliver Berthaud, if I correctly pronounce. So I am not in French expert. Okay, so see you in 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back after the break. I think we are all here and ready. Great. So the next presenter, Mr. Oliver Bartol, will represent the information about meat value chain in Georgia. And as all of you are aware, livestock sector includes not only dairy but meat sector too. So we are ready, Mr. Oliver, to.
Okay.
Okay. So
Do you listen to me?
we can
It's
hear.
okay?
Yeah. So you
Okay,
can
thanks a
start.
lot. Okay, thanks a lot. Good morning, everybody. My name is Olivier Berthaud. Don't mind the accent. My background is more than 30 years of engineering, consultancy, and training for the food industry. I'm not a farming expert. So my today's presentation will complement all of the previous remarks with regard to quality, food safety, and the added value provided by good farming practices you probably spoke about before. Beyond livestock farming, it's essential to understand the meat value chain from the industrial point of view. This amounts, in fact, to placing oneself from the point of view of the consumer and of the distributor. Food safety is today the main entry key. If we rewrite the history of food safety in industry, we must know that the driving force was not the manufacturer himself, but rather the consumer and the distributor. The consumer, due to the evolution of his more urban way of life, has demanded practically speed of cooking, which has led to the development of cutting, small packaging, and processed products. Distributors, for their parts, have asked for strong guarantees on conservation, improvement, and in presentation, and increasingly differentiating marketing, which led to a great diversity of ranges. All these aspects constitute a demand requiring a wide and varied offer of meat, as can be found in different forms. Sorry, in Europe, North America, and elsewhere in the world. Is it okay?
Yes, everything is okay.
Yes.
Somebody was unmuted.
Open the microphone by accident. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's okay. Okay. So to access these high value-added markets, I will first focus on the basic know-how of food industry. Good hygiene practices first, and the application of HACCP principles. It's not possible to describe in details all the good hygiene practices in such a short time as that attributed to me, but I can list them and comment on them quickly. One of the basic principles is constituted by the forward flow principle and the separation of the circuits. This principle applies when designing a factory or redesigning a factory. The plant will therefore be allocated in an area allowing the separation of external flows. The internal layout of the factory will be made of smooth material, an effective drainage system, avoiding any water retention on the ground. In addition, doors and windows will be sealed. Specific facilities will be necessary, such as changing room, sanitary facilities, staff rest areas, but also specialized storage for chemicals, packaging, etc. It will also be essential to have an adapted ventilation system, lighting, allowing comfortable work, and distribution of energies and fluids to all the necessary places. All equipment will be made from food safe materials, especially to facilitate maintenance and cleaning. care will also need to be taken with respect to workers' health, work clauses, communication and training programs, to use of personal protection and the carrying of personal objects is regulated as well. Hygiene, for its part, will occupy a central place in the processes, whether before, during, and after production. It will be a question of granting the non-contamination of foodstuffs. It will also be a question of controlling the hygiene of the packaging and that of the products through all production. In terms of hygiene, the management of byproducts will also be a subject of special attention in order to create additional value. Through the working day, cleaning and disinfection operations will be added by each sector and each product. There are other complementary aspects to improve the good hygiene practices. I will mention pest control, quality of the water supply, the control of temperatures, and also process levels, the control of supply, the control of receptions, and the control of shipments. Processes for monitoring and verifying good practices must be put in place to ensure continuous improvement. Then, second step is the HACCP. The HACCP method is the second fundamental principle I will describe very quickly. It is now essential on the regulatory level and for the majority of referencing with your customers. If I want to summarize the HACCP method, everybody knows, I guess, but I would summarize six main steps of the implemented in all situations. The first step consists in setting up a HACCP team and defining the framework of the study, which will have been carried out internally by the team. The second step consists in precisely describing all the products that will be concerned by the activity. The third step will consist of identifying the expected use for each of the previously defined products. The fourth step will consist in describing through diagrams all the production processes for all the products families described in step 2. The fifth step will confirm the production diagram as being strictly fitting with the one actually applied in the field, I mean in the factory. The sixth stage, finally, is the part which constitutes the major part of the HACCP study. It consists of the analysis of the dangers and the identification of the control measures to avoid them. HACCP is a standardized process for which many advisors are generally available in all countries to support companies to implement it. This study is usually carried out under the responsibility of the factory's quality department. Finally, to conclude this part, which summarizes in a rather exhaustive way all the fundamental principles allowing the control of food safety, it is necessary to add to it the process of the traceability, which was, I think, largely described in the previous interventions. I will be taken up with the framework of the organization of production, whether it is a question of slaughtering, cutting, or processing, to allow the transmission and therefore the tracing of all the products during the production. They will refer to the batches of animals that will have been delivered to the slaughterhouse or in relation to the batches of carcasses that will have been delivered to the cutting and processing units. Next step, next slide. To set off principles described above present, for some companies, a considerable amount of work, you must consider that these fundamental know-hows have become, over time, essential prerequisites common to all companies. They therefore do not constitute a strong added value in an environment where everyone applies these rules. On the other hand, the rigorous application of these rules in an environment or in a country which has not yet reached the high level of food safety will allow a first level of differentiation compared to the competition and add value. It will be characterized by the quality of the products delivered, that is to say, the freshness, the regularity, and above all, the durability, that is to say, the shelf life. However, in competitive markets, we must not forget that the added value will be obtained by other processes that can simply be summarized by the term differentiation. The differentiation is of a varied nature. It is usually linked to the specialization of ranges, products, either for a particular customer sector or by innovation and marketing marking the difference with competitors. In addition to this, the producer will be able to create value by developing certain services. The most profitable service is linked to good control of the supply chain. I mean, for Western countries, from ordering to delivery, including the quality of the team who are in contact with customer. There are many variants allowing you to differentiate yourself by improving your supply chain. I will take as an example an efficient transport team, adapted delivery equipment, but also customer collaboration in the development of new products, and also the implementation of certifications from farm to fork. These examples are not exhaustive, of course. As a conclusion, next slide. Even if I have scanned very quickly, I apologize. The aspects that make a good control of food safety, you will remember that the fundamental know-how, such as good hygiene practices, but also the HACCP method, are the case to a profitable value chain. The differentiation of product ranges and services also requires a lot of energy, resources, and time, but can produce a lot of added value as well. It is therefore up to you to establish the most appropriate program for your initial situation and for the objectives and means that you have set for yourself. The main thing is to achieve the right dosage at the right time. Finally, I will hand on the essential condition allowing the good realization of such programs. It is about building a quality team and management. The human investment must be significant. Usually it's not, and constant, even if it is sometimes random. I remains the main key to succeeding in a professionalization process, whatever the level targeted. Thank you a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Thank you for your great points, because it's actually what is needed to have a good capacity in the beef sector in Georgia and meat sector. So we are in a good phases. So we have some obligations with the European Union, with our population. So we need this kind of expertise. Thank you once again.
Okay, no, you're welcome. And if there were too much information, maybe the auditors are able to receive the script from your side. No problem.
Okay, thank you. Once again, now it's time to go from meat to sheep chain in Georgia, and we have a presenter, Lola Mukhtarova, who will try to give us some more information in this field. Lola is here, and Lola, you can start your presentation instead of Jacques.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I would ask our technical team to put the presentation up. You're right. So I'm speaking instead of Jacques. He called me up and asked me to replace him because he was suddenly called by Ministry of Agriculture and he had to be there. But since we did this market assessment together, I could just jump in and share some of the information about the market potential for Georgia. So, as you all well know, sheep and goats are mainly raised for production of meat, milk and dairy products, and of wool and other byproducts like skins. With regards to meat in Georgia, Georgia still has modest consumption of it, and the Georgian consumption per capita is very, very low, only less than 1 kilogram per year, where the neighboring country, Azerbaijan, consumes almost 8 kilograms. Goat meat is mainly consumed in western Georgia, Senegallo, and it's difficult to find in the country butchery selling mutton except during the Eastern. Local consumption tends to focus on small size Inuli lamb and not on larger size fat-tailed to sherry sheep breed, which makes the bulk of Georgian herds. And for that reason, most Georgian sheep producers are focused on exports. Can I have next slide, please? In 2021, Georgian exports of products accounted for only 2.87 million, which is very, very small in comparison with world exports. All these exports were currently directed and channeled to Arab Gulf countries, usually by plane. But in 2018, Georgia was exporting almost 35 million, out of which 32 was going to Iran. And when that country obviously suffered from a new wave of sanctions, the imports collapsed and they could not consume the sheep meat that was coming from Georgia because they were focusing on their own local markets. And if, when sanctions will be lifted, Iran should become again a key market for Georgian exporters of sheep meat. However, I should mention that during our market research, we have identified, and there was a trip organized to Iran, where we have identified that a number of the French breeds, such as BMC, which we have referred in the previous day, in the first day of the presentation, we had a company representing this sheep breed, and Roman, and other varieties of French breeds have been already tested there and crossbred with Abbasi and other varieties of Iranian sheep, and they were quite successful. Because of geographic proximity and lower sanitary constraints than the EU, southern markets will remain key markets for Georgian lamb, at least for another 2 decades. Can we have the next slide, please? So most meat exported by Georgia is made of fresh or chilled lamb or sheep carcasses and half carcasses. Contrary to exports from Australia and New Zealand, where the main focus is wool, and they virtually export more frozen, but in Georgia, no frozen meat is exported. And this is a competitive advantage of Georgia to be close to these import markets. Fresh or chilled meat was mainly exported by truck to Iran. It's very close. Within 24 hours, the meat can already reach Iranian consumers, and usually exported by plane to Gulf countries such as Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. It is produced by halal licensed Georgian slaughterhouses, and also during our value chain analysis, we have identified that there are a lot of Georgian slaughterhouses that have been and are halal licensed, and their main sheep slaughterhouses, the main sheep goes to these Gulf countries. Next slide, please. If Georgia would develop a strong Georgian brand, putting in evidence the specific elite qualities of its highly natural products, it could potentially receive much better prices for its fresh lamb meat, as regional importers in Gulf pay on average much more higher than the world prices. For example, if you have a look in this chart, the world price per tons of sheep meat is 6,786, where, for example, in Saudi Arabia, they pay 7,824 per tons. And in Kuwait, it's even higher, 8,483. So Georgian farmers and Georgian exporters have a very big competitive advantage because of the proximity of the market, and because the varieties that are grown here are very, very highly appreciated in both countries. Next slide, please. Saudi Arabia accounts for 36% of global live sheep imports, and most of the time during Ramadan holidays and Kurban Bayram holidays, they are looking for sheep because there is a high demand. And the importing country, also another one, Jordan, is largely used as a fattening base for further export to Saudi Arabia. Consumption of sheep is largely also seasonal. Apart from the fact that they usually consume it, it's also seasonal, and it's linked to the pilgrims during the Hajj periods, as well as to other religious Islamic religion holidays such as Kurban Bayram. And another bigger importer is Israel. Next slide, please. Highest recorded import prices are in Qatar, as we have already mentioned, but also in EU countries where most trade is within the single market, partly because of the very strict sanitary requirements. Lower prices are recorded in neighboring Georgian country, it's Azerbaijan, where we spoke about the consumption already. In general, imports to Gulf countries are managed by well-established sheep traders, often deep-rooted trading families which control the market with a key role in particular from Syrians who are from Aleppo. Next slide, please. Georgian exports of live sheep declined substantially since 2014 till 2018, as most sheep were then exported to Iran as fresh or chilled meat, and we already understood the reason. And Georgian exports of live sheep have been quite unstable in terms of destinations. So previously it was very low, then it went to Iran, it was growing, then it declined. So it's not very stable. Currently, Saudi Arabia is the largest buyer of Georgian sheep, but in the past, it was Azerbaijan. Georgian also used to play a large role until the year of 2015. Next slide, please. So with potential of the two breeds that there are in Georgia, Tusheri breed, which makes for nearly all exports, it's also fat-tailed with long legs. Its meat has it has a strong taste, usually poorly appreciated by locals. That's why mostly the local Georgians consume a smaller Emirati breed. As I spoke to Jacques, he also asked me to mention it particularly because Iran has been more advanced in terms of testing and crossbreeding the French breeds BMC and Roman with the local breeds in Iran. He mentioned that it's important for Georgians and Georgian market to already utilize that experience that was done in Iran and not to lose time to do testing for another 4 or 5 years, because that was already tested there. Also in terms of climatic conditions, there are some districts and regions in Iran that are closer in climate. And with development of strong brand and geographic indication, Georgian sheep meat as well as Georgian sheep cheese with a strong brand with good marketing has a potential for export to Gulf countries, which can benefit both the export and economy of Georgia and will support the farmers who are and the shepherds who are working in the small ruminants. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm open to get the questions.
Thank you, Lola. I think you handled it very good. So it was a really good presentation, and now it's time for us to have our last presentation in our first season. And please welcome Mr. Thierry Leblanc, who will tell about how to have a more better market about Georgian wool, because as I'm familiar, in Georgia, wool is like a waste in terms of shipping, because we do not use wool as it would be better for us. So, Mr. Thierry, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I have the presentation. Yeah. Okay, so I'm Thierry Leblanc. I have made all my career in the textile industry and especially in wool preparation. It means the beginning of the filière. It means washing, sorting, washing, carding, and top making. So I will present the main characteristics of wool, its markets, processes to do them, and my field observation and conclusions, thanks to my week I passed in Georgia. So, main textile characteristic, protein fiber. This is a protein fiber with keratin, its main constituent, and it's resistant to water and acids, and in a certain range to alkaline. The length, we always speak of average length, because in a wool you have all the lengths, but when you consider the average thing, it's 40 to 200 millimeters, and the fineness is 15 to 50 microns. The wool fiber is very particular because it's covered with scales, as you can see on the left side of the picture. This means that 80% of the volume of the fiber is air. So it's isolating, and the scales allow to felt the fibers between themselves. It has a very good hygroscopicity. You can fix 150 grams of water per kilograms of wool. So it's a good moisture regulation in closed ambience. It's a crimp fiber. This means that the crimp gives to the fiber its stretchability in yarn. Next one. Another important property is that it's hardly flammable. It's a flame retardant, and furthermore, the fumes are non-toxic. It has a big importance, as we will see in public transportation. It's odor reducer, so it means that it requires less washings than cotton or polyester textiles. It's very easy dyeable. And next, please. So all these properties, and as you have a lot of sheep breeds and different breeding conditions, make that you have a great variety of wools. The characteristic of fibers and the fiber yield, it means the content of really wool fibers in 1 kilogram of raw material is between 30% to 80%, due mainly to the condition of breeding. So there is a great variability of fibers value. Considering the environmental aspect, it's a natural fiber, it's renewable. You have to shear the sheets every year, 1 or 2 times. It's recyclable, and it's a biodegradable resource. The biodegradability is low, but it's biodegradable. Now, considering the main markets, we have the clothing markets in two parts. The heavyweight garments, it means knitted woolen yarns. These are made with coarser fibers, recycled fiber even now, and it's better not to have foreign fibers when it's for clothing, because you dye, and so it's better not to have only one color of fiber, not to make some difference between the fiber. And then you have the lightweight garments, so it's for woven or knitted, and these are worsted yarns. It means that the wool will be combed. You have the longer and finer fibers. You must know how no foreign color or colored fibers in the raw wool, because it will have a fast impact on the dyeing. This is for clothing market. You have the felts. It means hats, coats, shoes. Due to the great ability to felt of the fibers, you will choose your fibers in function of its fineness and its ratio of scales. Of course, the more fine is the wool, and the more scales it has, the better you can felt them. Then other market important for wool is the building and furniture markets. So it's for insulation, So you will make some low density non-wovens. You will not make some yarn. And to make these non-wovens, you will have to blend them with thermofusible fibers to fix the fibers between themselves. It has low requirements about fibers. You can use a lot of different fibers, but as you are in building, it must be flame retardant and better to have a moth treatment. Then you have the floor and wall covering. This will be also woven fabrics or high density non-wovens, what we call needle punch non-woven. You need spinability. You may have to spin. You must have a good abrasion resistance, notably if you work on the floor covering. It must be flame retardant and better to have a moth treatment too. Then you have the furniture. You can use the wool as fluff, as woven fabrics, non-woven in upholstery and padding. So you need spinability if you want to move. You need abrasion resistance. You need resilience. This is one of the quality of wool. Some wools are resilient. It means that they take again the volume when there is no constraint. Of course, there must be frame retardant and moth treatment. Other technical markets, mainly transport for the furniture or the thermal or phonic insulation in public transport. In this kind of application, what is important is that the wool is flame retardant and there is no toxic fumes. And then technical fields. Fields are niche markets, but wool is still used for them. For example, shock absorbers, seals in musical instruments, for example, piano, oil absorption. Wool has particular properties in wool absorption, which is very interesting in the pipes insulation, belts, lubrication, or polishing pads. Okay. So the processes of wool is a long process. This is one disadvantage of wool in front of cotton, for example, or polyester. It means that the wool will be more, the cost of the process will be more elevated than other fibers. The process begins with the shearing phase, where you will have to sort the raw wool. Then you have to wash the wool because the wool is covered with an oil and the wool breaks, and you have to take out this oil to be able to process the wool. You will get some sludge as waste. Then you have to card the web. To card the wool to make a web. You will get some short fibers as second product, and you will have to vacuum as waste vegetables and a lot of dust. Then you can make some spinning woolen yarns directly with carding after carding, or you can make, next please, you can comb the wool to take out the short fibers and to make some worsted yarn, long staple yarn. So the most fine yarn are made with this kind of wool. Next, please. Then you can make some non-wovens. It makes that you will do fabrics without making yarns, and you have a needle punch non-woven or thermobonding non-woven. And the last one is felting. You with hot water and mechanical actions, you will get some felt. Next. So my observation during this week is that we have some coarse wools here in Georgia. This means that you will be able to make some fabrics with coarse yarns too. You have 2 shearings a year. This is not good for on textile aspects because you have lower length. And what we are looking for is the highest length for fineness, given fineness. The contaminants of what I have seen in vegetables, in minerals, organic, are okay. These wools are rather clean, so the yield will be good. You have contaminant fibers, colored fibers, and packagings. It means today the wool is put in polypropylene bags, and the polypropylene bags are not in good condition, so the wool will be polluted with polypropylene fibers, which can be a problem. No, there is no sorting when shearing. It means that when the shepherds make the shearing operation, they put all the wool together in bags, and they don't shear, they don't sort the wool in between good quality fibers and degraded fibers. And here in Georgia, there is one washing line, and I would say a spinning line too. This, of course, is a very, and this is a small company, a small potential, and this is, of course, a problem for the downstream of the transformation. Thank you. Next, please. So my conclusion is, at the minimum, today's the situation of wool here in Georgia is very depressed. There is quasi no market for wool. They burnt or they let it in the field or in the mountain. So it's not a very good situation. There is no price today. The price is very low. So this is one problem. Then what could be do to have a better situation? I think it can be, you can consider only the trading activity. It means to sell the wool to people who will make it processed in other countries. At the minimum, you have to sort and to pack correctly the wool. And I think it means mainly training of the shepherds, because shepherds are making the shearing operation here in Georgia. And of course, you have to gather the clipping on several sites to have good quantities to sell. This situation of wool is someone very similar to what we have in France. We have the textile industry has quasi disappeared in France, but today there is a new interest for these fibers because they are natural for the environmental aspect, and so there is the same démarche in France to reinstall some spinning potential and to make production of old fabrics in France. I think there is three priorities. First, to sort correctly the wool. Then you can sell the wool at a higher good wool at a higher price. Then you have to for the processing to install some devices adapted to the situation. It means that, for example, for washing, there is nothing. It's not used. It won't be good to install a very large, high production washing line. It has no meaning here in Georgia. It would be better to install some small, 3 or 4 small washing device, as we have seen recently in Georgia. The market,
the market, sorry, concerning the processing, the strategic investment is the washing, and then the carding of the wool, because a lot of use of the wool needs the carding phase. Concerning the market, due to the quantity of wool in Georgia, I think that there is two markets. One which is existing in small quantity, but it exists. This is a traditional craft for bags, for socks, carpets, and slippers, and the Georgian wool is adapted to that. And the second one is maybe the technical products for covering, for floor and wall covering, which could be implemented to make some better comfort in some house or in the house. This is my conclusions of my stay in Georgia. Something which is interesting is that is a case of the wine, which was made in jar in Georgia, and this technique was considered several years ago as an outdated process, and now this has been ameliorated, and now it's a very well considered way to make wine, and this has given new value to this way of making wine. It could be the same démarche to have for the wool, for the Georgian wool. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Tier. As a small comment, I should say that in my personal opinion, wood is an unused potential in Georgia. So I hope we will have pioneers in this sector and we'll start to do more. So thank you. Before the question mark session, Tornike, I want to say some few words. So Tornike.
Hello again, everybody. Thank you again, everybody, for presenting. So before we go to question and answers, I just want to let all of you know that we will have a conclusion remarks. It's supposed to have started at 14:45, but I think it will be postponed until 15 o'clock. So it will start 15 minutes later. Please also join this session. It will be attended by Mr. George Deo, Mr. Christophe Cordonnier, Benoit Deloil. Georgi Khanishvili is supposed to have attended, but he's abroad now, so I think he will not be able to attend. And head of IFD, Mr. Rafael Jozan. Link should have been dropped, and it is dropped by my colleague in the chat. So again, as I said, at 15 o'clock, you are more than welcome to join the conclusion remarks. Again, thank you everybody for very interesting presentation, and we can go ahead with questions and answers if there are obviously any questions. If not, then we will take a break for 20 minutes, I guess. So, Ruslan, I assume there is no questions, right?
I also assume maybe let's take a break and then the participants have time to prepare their questions, and we will be here after 10 minutes.
To be honest, after 10 minutes, it will be 2:40, no, 2:50. And 3 o'clock, we will have conclusion remarks. So maybe it's better to just join the conclusion remarks directly after.
Great option. So if we are all agreed, okay, then thank you for this great season. Thank you for the participants and presenters for the presentation. I got a lot of information as a food safety and quality specialist, so I will use this information in my daily job too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed.
You were absolutely amazing in moderating this group. I enjoyed a lot to listen all of you. Very interesting topics.
Unfortunately, we all have to be in a Zoom. It felt like a small,
Okay.
smart class. So
Okay, hope to see
bye-bye,
you in
everybody.
Georgia or in France. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye,
Sven.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.